Welcome,
Welcome.
Housewives of True Crime.
That's right.
Happy, happy.
Happy, happy. All your kids are in school.
Yes, yesterday was the day they all three were in the educational institution.
Oh my gosh. Hallelujah.
Yeah, it
It's
was good. Good
yeah,
day.
yeah, it's good. My kids have been all three back in school for 8 days now, and that is how long it took me to stop caring about what I looked like at drop off. Because today I dropped them off looking like a homeless person, like a pajama top, sweats, big oversized grandpa
Did,
sweater.
oh God, did you get out of your car?
I have to. My kids
Oh,
will not let me drop them off in the drop off line.
oh no.
I'm like,
You're one of those moms. Just kidding.
listen, I have like a 5 minutes reserved in the morning routine I've been utilizing to put something together.
Yeah.
But, my kid pulled one of those, like, oh, I need you to print up some pictures from the interweb. Womp womp.
Yep. I know how that is.
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you get any looks?
I didn't get any looks.
Okay.
I'm
Everybody's like,
not,
I wish that didn't have to put on my lashes today either.
everybody at the new school just seems to mind their own business.
Mm-hmm.
I just have not made any friends or foes.
Okay.
I
So I went to lunch today with a two new women
mhm,
from my daughter's school. My daughter and
mhm.
son go to a different school. And I was kind of saying that, like my son's school, I don't know if everybody just minds their business, doesn't want friends. Like it doesn't feel to me, or maybe they just look at me and they're like, we don't want to be friends with that girl. But there's no social interaction there at my
And
son's school
and is that okay or not okay?
with me.
Yeah.
Well, I like social.
I know
So
you do. I think like I don't know. I don't know how like we'll see.
I just like to know that people like me and want to invite me to things. And if I can't go because I'm too busy, then that's fine. But I don't know. Like, I like there to be community, I guess. I moved to a
I
place
don't
where there's
like
community.
taking
I like it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough, but I don't particularly enjoy the investment of hanging out, and then what if I find out you're like super crazy?
Yes. So there
And
is that
then you got to like backpedal, and that, gives me
100%.
diarrhea.
Like,
So I'm like fine with like just keeping like a little safety bubble around me. It takes a long time for me to be like, okay, you can come to my house.
yes. And
You're
I
not like
think,
swingers or have a bunch of birds or,
yeah,
like, I mean, I don't fucking know what people do. I mean, no, and no
probably
shade
think,
to swingers, but
people probably think I'm totally crazy because I've
it,
got freaking sugar gliders, dude. That is like I think people that have exotic pets usually are a little bit
you
interesting.
think,
Yes.
hello, Joe.
I, I'm pretty sure when my daughter's like, do you want to come see my sugar gliders? They're like, what kind of whack job mom do you have? That is
Yeah,
probably why we don't have any friends.
dude. Yeah.
But really I'm normal most of the time.
No, she's not. I can promise you.
I'm not. That's fine.
No.
But I do. So I think you are really hard to break through your shell and I am too easy. So then
Yes.
I get burned most of the
Yes.
time.
Yes. That's true.
Yeah. Because I trust you. Then I tell you my deep dark secrets. And
And I
then,
am forever like, nope, back away from that one.
yeah,
That
she
mom
is.
date was not a hit. I see all the signs of crazy.
Oh my God. Gretchen
Uh-huh.
does kind
Uh-huh.
of vet everybody through her.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And you're 99%
99%
right.
of the time, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good intuition.
Mhm. All right, you ready for some crimes?
The crimes, is it multiple?
Well, actually, it is. I didn't mean to say crimes. I just spoke extra. But actually, I am going to tell you about two.
Oh, well, surely that is why we're here today.
Okay, let's
Um,
do this.
yes, thank you.
Today's case takes place in Lake Wylie, South Carolina. I have not been to either of the Carolinas.
I have not either, but I love lakes. And
Oh,
my friend just bought a house in South Carolina on a lake, and it's lovely. Like the lake itself looks beautiful.
oh yeah. Yeah, well this was a house on a lake
Mhm,
and it is amazing. Okay?
mhm.
Yeah, I would love to go to South Carolina. I really want to visit Charleston.
I know. I hear it's like a destination to move to these days. People are
Yeah, I'll bet.
packing up and going.
I want to go find Shep. I want to go to his bar. I have a crush on him.
Mm,
Mhm.
girls trip.
Yeah. Okay. Someday. Okay. Well, Lake Wylie is beautiful. It's green, gorgeous, that like classic East Coast style homes. And Steve and Lana, I'm going to call her Lana. I think it's Lana.
I like
Okay.
Lana.
Yeah, I like Lana better. Okay. Lana Clayton lived in one of the most beautiful ones. It was lakefront on a huge piece of property.
See, dreamy.
Dreamy, right?
Hmm.
It was a historical home modeled after George Washington's Mount Vernon crib. So, it's got like those big ionic columns in the
Mm,
front, it's that situation. Okay. Steve and Lana had been living there for about 2 years. They had made the move after Lana pushed for it. They had previously been living in North Carolina, which Steve really loved. But I mean, what's not to love about Lake Wylie? So he made the move, which also put them closer to Steve's family as well as Lana's. Steve and Lana had tied the knot 5 years ago and hosted many get togethers at their new home. And they seemed to be living the dream of a couple that had fallen in love late in life. Lana was 52 and Steve was 64. This was Lana's second marriage and Steve's sixth. That's
hmm.
right. Steve loved
Steve.
love. Yeah.
But couldn't hold on to love. Like
So
what?
it was something like that. Yeah. He did kind of love him and leave him, but he was the kind of guy that stayed friends with all his exes. You
Okay.
know, nobody has anything bad to say about him. But it sounds like he kind of like kept it moving when things weren't copacetic anymore. Steve was like a big teddy bear. He's like a big guy. Okay. He
Hmm.
the life of the party. His family says he was always the first one to stand up and give a toast. And though he never had any kids of his own, kids loved him. He was like the get down on the ground and play with kids, kind of
Uncle.
fun uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Steve had actually started a very lucrative sports medicine company when he was young and had been fully retired since the age of 40.
Whoa. That's like
That's real young. Our husbands are jelly of that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
is like what dreams are made of. You know what I mean? Like you think
Yeah.
that when you're in high school, you're graduating high school and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm going to retire by the time I'm 40."
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lucky Steve.
Lucky Steve. Okay. When Steve and Lana got together, everyone thought the sixth time around is the charm. Lana was
And
the
who
yin
doesn't?
to
I
the
mean,
right,
if you can make it to
Well,
6, I mean, you're definitely not making it to 7.
I mean, I feel like you're like, he can't get married again, right? Like this has to be
No, no, I think at 6, you're like, just keep going, Steve, at this point.
it. Yeah.
Like, what is 7? Like children after 3 have 10.
Well, in this case, Lana was just the yin to Steve's yang. He's
Okay,
really
got
outgoing.
it.
She's like reserved. She worked as a nurse at a veterans hospital for years before marrying Steve. So, she's like nurturing or something. you
Oh,
know?
uh-huh.
Steve and Lana, they were also a very affectionate couple. I
Mushy,
mean,
mushy.
yeah, mushy,
Mushy, mushy.
mushy. I think that's a total puke fest, but that's some people are into that.
Yeah.
Okay. They loved family and hosted holidays and parties all the time, and everybody thought they were living like the late in life love dream. Total, hashtag relationship goals, Steve and Lana. But life isn't perfect, regardless of how much love or money you have. Everyone has shit happen. Well, shit happened to Lana and Steve in May of 2016 when Lana accidentally shot Steve in the back of the head with a crossbow. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Lana said she was just trying to load it, but was having difficulty with it. So she went upstairs to find her husband, and the machine accidentally went off.
Oh, Jesus.
I am familiar with crossbows.
Uh-huh.
Fun fact. Um, that it's quite a situation to load it. I mean, it seems like
Does
you
that seem
don't
plausible? Like
it,
that she would
no,
be
no,
loading
it
one
doesn't seem particularly plausible. And if you even thought it might be loaded, why would you have it pointed at anyone,
from the back of their
right?
head? Yeah.
Why would you even have it in the house loaded
Yeah, I was wondering that also. Like, why is she loading her crossbow
in
anyways?
the house?
Like,
My head, yeah. I was going to say a crossbow. It was actually a spear gun. When we were living in Hawaii, my husband actually killed a rat with a spear gun
in your house.
in my house.
On
It was a
purpose,
really big
though.
rat on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's
I'm
what I'm
like,
saying. Like, yes, there is sometimes there's
there
situations
are
where you have,
exceptions.
yeah,
Okay.
but
But,
not sure what
whatever.
Lana was trying to kill in her house with a
Okay.
crossbow.
Well,
Okay.
Stephen only believes she had good intentions. He told the police at the hospital that he did not believe his wife was trying to kill him. And
Okay.
so the incident only went as far as a report was made about it, and Steve recovered. Well, they must have been embarrassed or something about that happening because they're very close with their families, but the families weren't told anything about the crossbow incident. Okay.
Hmm.
So Steve and Lana just went on, living the good life at the lake house until the summer of 2018 when Steve became ill. His symptoms were vertigo, nausea, and exhaustion. He told his sister that he closed his eyes and woke up 36 hours later. Symptoms remained for about 2 weeks. No one could figure out what was going on with him or what was the cause. But, by 4th of July, he was to being his full of life self, hosting a big bash where him and Lana and their friends and family danced the night away to celebrate, another great America's birthday. Not too long after that party, Steve got to feeling real shitty again. But something was different this time because he wasn't even able to return phone calls of concern that were coming in for him from his family. So his sister, knowing what happened the last time he got sick like this, was particularly concerned. And she was told by Lana that he wasn't feeling well again and he had misplaced his phone a week ago and that she was taking care of him and she would keep her posted. So Steve's sister thought Steve was in good hands. I mean, hello, Lana's a nurse,
Right.
you know. She would know if whatever was going on with him was real serious and if he needed to be taken to the hospital or something. Well, unfortunately, she was real wrong about that. And on July 21st, 2018, Lana found Steve dead at the bottom of the
What?
stairs. Yeah.
Hmm.
According to Lana, she was out mowing the lawn and she came back inside the house and she found him there. She then ran outside, flagged down a man on a motorcycle passing by, and told him she thinks her husband is dead. Call 911. The ambulance and police showed up and determined Steve was, in fact, dead. Steve's body had to remain there until the coroner could assess the cause of death. So, Steve was a large guy. And despite being found at the bottom of the stairs, it hadn't appeared that he had fallen down them because he wasn't all,
Banged up.
banged up.
Yeah.
Nothing was damaged. Yeah. The coroner told authorities he showed signs of having a heart attack. Lana was clearly distraught, and the authorities that were on the scene showed her a lot of compassion while she explained Steve hadn't been feeling well and, she just found him like this. It really did initially look like this was just a sad case of a 64-year-old dropping dead of a sudden heart attack. But thankfully, someone questioned Lana's story, and that was Steve's nephew. He was a police officer and on duty at the time when he learned about what happened to Steve, and so he rushed right over. Being a police officer, he thought, well, hey, Lana, how come you went and flagged down the motorcycle guy? Why didn't you just call
Pick up the phone.
911 from your phone? Yeah.
Hmm.
And also, how come you didn't perform CPR on him? You're a nurse, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, those are some good points. But he said when he really thought something is not right here is when the coroner asked her what funeral home she would like to send his body to. And she said, oh, I don't know. It's all too much. I can't decide that right now. And the coroner said, okay, don't worry. I will take him to the morgue and we can perform some tests on him. And all of a
Oh,
sudden, she didn't skip a beat and
she was
was
like, no,
like,
no, no.
she was like, nope, there's a place down the street. Take him there, cremate him.
Red flag.
Yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
bury him tomorrow. It's in our
Yeah.
religion.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. So he thought that's a little sus, but still not enough to accuse her of anything. But he was taken back again when he overheard Lana saying that his uncle was a hardcore drug user, which he thought was like almost laughable because that was so out of character for, the uncle that he knew and loved.
Yeah.
But still, trying to be a good nephew, he offered to clean up the bedroom where Stephen had been so it wouldn't be so hard for Lana. When he stepped in the room, he was overtaken by the smell. It was urine, kind of like your house, Tab.
Kind of like my dog's pissing everywhere right now. We're having an issue. If you listen to Patreon, you would know my dogs have reverted to becoming puppies for some unknown reason. It's a
Yeah.
big problem.
Yeah. Yeah. She's buying Nature's Miracle by the gallon. Okay.
Mhm.
So, anyhow, the mattress that Stephen had been on was completely soaked in urine, like
Dude,
all the way through to the box spring.
what? So he
That's a lot of
died
pee.
on the bed, basically.
Well,
Don't you think?
well, I will tell you how he died.
Okay.
Okay.
I just know that when any living being dies, I think they excrete all their fluids.
Yes. Well, I think the thing being that soaked was more than just what
One day.
happens when you in one day. It had been for days.
Okay.
Was what the sign of that was.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, her nephew he had to throw the whole mattress away. Right? What are you
Mm-hmm.
gonna do? Steve's other nephew that was very close to his uncle and was the executor of his will reached out to Lana and said, I'm here for you if you need anything. And we should probably take a look at his will soon and see what his wishes were for his remains. Lana told him to beat it. There is no will. And he was like, yeah, there is. I've seen it. I'm the executor. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he just wants to be buried in the family plot in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Lana snapped something like, "I'm the wife, kick rocks." So the nephew got to thinking, this is funny because there was a time when Uncle Steve confided in me that everything with Lana wasn't like the marital bliss it appeared to be. And so he thought, maybe this is sort of what Uncle Steve was talking about because all of a sudden, Lana seems like a real cold bitch.
Mm-hmm.
But at that moment, it was what it was, and no one wants to do anything to upset.
The widow.
No one wants to do anything to upset the newly grieving widow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, no will, whatever. Well, the next day he got talking to his brother-in-law, Steve's police officer nephew, and said something like, anything seem off to you about this whole thing? And he said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I've been thinking shit don't add up. So after the two men swapped stories about things they found sus about Lana, they decided they had to do something about it, and they had to do it quick. They were able to get Steve's body moved from the funeral home before he was cremated and taken to the morgue for an autopsy and a toxicology report.
Smart.
Very smart. And also, Miss Lana didn't know anything about this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she just went about, what typical grieving widows do the next day after their husbands tragically drop dead. She got to cleaning out his closet. She left that thing bare, donating all
Dude,
his shit.
do people not know? This is like,
Oh my God, hold
don't
your
do this.
horses. Yeah.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
like it happens all the time.
Yeah.
If they get rid of the shit, guilty.
Guilty.
Except
100%.
Gretchen will say, except if you're Scott Peterson.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, true. Okay, so she got to work cleaning out his closet and getting rid of all of his stuff that she didn't have use for anymore. And then the neighbors reported her making use of this awesome fire pit. They have this fire pit. It really is both of our dream backyards. It's like on a lake, huge circle fire pit in the middle of this gorgeous lawn, just ultimate entertaining, right? So Lana goes out there and she has a huge fire in the backyard.
Weird.
Yeah, what you burning, Lana Boo? I
Yeah.
mean,
What is she burning?
well,
Evidence? She's burning evidence.
eventually that fire pit was examined and the remnants of some important papers were found, but the will never was.
Like the
But one
will.
might, yeah, one might conclude that it went ablazing though. That was probably like the first thing she burned.
I mean, there's not going to be any evidence left of a will. It's paper,
Right?
right?
Well,
But
it turned,
hopefully it's also on the computer.
listen, that's what I was kind of thinking too. I mean, when you have a will drawn up, don't you like leave a copy with your lawyer or
Yeah.
somebody else? I don't know. I guess I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, well, turns out that it might be pretty convenient to lose a will in South Carolina, and that Lana might have had another reason to have been pushing Steve to move there 2 years prior. The law in South Carolina is no will, everything goes to the spouse. Very cut and dry. In
Okay.
North Carolina, if there's no will, the state decides who oversees your estate and who gets what.
Okay.
Okay.
They're
Well,
in North Carolina.
no, they're in South
Oh,
Carolina.
they're in South.
That's why they
Okay.
moved. Get it?
Got it.
Okay. Well, as you have probably guessed, Lana had some splaining to do when the toxicology report came back.
What did it say?
Well, she
Rat
did
poison?
learn not not rat poison,
Eye
but
drops?
another
Eye drops?
yeah,
Visine?
yes. Yes.
Visine.
Okay.
Dude, Visine kills you.
It really does.
Yes, that's scary. Isn't that scary? That little tiny vial of shit you put in your
And it's
eyes.
odorless and tasteless.
Yes, ingest it into your mouth and you're dead.
Who would put that in their eyes? Thank God I don't have dry eyes.
It's like it's like one of those things I don't ever want even in my house anymore, knowing that if I ingest it or anybody ingest it, you're a goner.
Oh my God, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so toxicology report comes back. By this time, Lana did learn that the body was not cremated. So she must have been just like sweating it for a month
Oh
because
yeah.
that's how long it took, them to call her down to the coroner's office. They had her come to the coroner's office instead of the station, I imagine, so she would answer more questions and not suspect that she was in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So the coroner questioned her while detectives were listening in the next room. The interview went like, "Hey, Lana, we just have a couple of questions. Did Steve take any drugs?" And she said, like, "Yeah, Benadryl, Tylenol. Anything else?" Well, he used to put a couple of drops of Visine in his coffee to make him have a bowel movement. They were like,
Gretchen, you have really good stuff for that.
yeah, I do.
Instead, some like movement tea.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously, ever heard of Smooth Moves tea or like probiotics?
They work.
They work, okay? So then they say, well, the toxicology report here, we found really high amounts of tetrahydrozoline. Do you know what that is? And she goes, yeah, it's Visine. So, okay. So basically, detectives had already concluded that Lana had been poisoning Steve with Visine, but they were like really giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like maybe Steve had been giving it to himself. Maybe he attempted suicide, possibly. But when they heard her explanation and how she volunteered that he ingested Visine on purpose and being a nurse, she just
Let him.
let him.
You're
Yeah.
like, hey, Lana, did you ever want to say, like, there are other methods to have a bowel movement,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
stuff made for that?
Yeah, just, a nice healthy diet, get your fiber, eat a lot of celery. Okay, anywho, they figured that she brought it up because she knew it was going to come up in the toxicology report. And then when she knew the chemical name right away for it, but
Yeah,
claimed she didn't know it was deadly and she's a nurse,
she
that
knew.
yeah, they weren't buying it. So they entered the interview with the coroner and read her rights. But she did not use her right to remain silent. She just kept on talking.
Okay, what'd she say?
Well, she started to tell a tale about how Steve was abusive to her.
Hmm.
She also admitted that the whole thing with the crossbow was no accident. Yeah, I mean, she really was talking. She said, sometimes I just get real mad at him. So she said he had a mood disorder and she was so sick of it that she squeezed an entire bottle of Visine into his water, thinking he would just get diarrhea or something, that she didn't intend to kill him. Well, what the evidence shows that actually happened contradicts Lana's story, and it's pretty awful. It's been concluded that she gave him increasing amounts over time, and he was likely left in pain, suffering for 3 days in that bed without the means to get help. They suspect she threw his phone in the lake because it's never been found. And he did somehow manage to make it down the stairs himself in an attempt to save his life, but he was already too far gone and it was too late. It's like really awful. It reminds me of that movie, Misery.
Oh, right. It is like that.
Yeah.
Real life.
So the day Lana was questioned by police, they didn't have a formal arrest warrant prepared. So Lana was allowed to stay at her home after they were done talking to her. But, she knew the arrest was coming. And so
Should take off.
and well, no, but
Oh.
I mean, you'd think she'd down a bottle of Visine, but she didn't. She turned on the gas and took some pills and left a note that she was real sorry about what happened to Steve.
She cook
Well,
herself?
she tried, but her
Oh.
neighbor found her in the morning unconscious and she was taken to the hospital and she lived. She took a plea deal for 25 years. She still says it was an accident and she did not intend to kill him. She showed up at her sentencing and her brown hair was now gray. And she had a front braid in her hair, where, it's like very styly, like a Kardashian style braid.
Yeah, like I do them sometimes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so do I. I love braids,
Yeah.
but personally, I don't think it was working for Lana. Maybe it's just, a woman of her age.
Yeah.
The braid and the orange jumpsuit didn't go for
Didn't work.
me. Okay. I don't know. I thought she would look like she was trying too hard or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, Steve's family, not real happy about the plea deal. They wanted her locked up for life. And I mean, I don't blame them. She plotted, planned, and tortured him to death. No likey Lana. Lana, I think, looks better in her most recent mugshot, which was taken in January, than she did at the sentencing. But I mean, don't get me wrong, she's looking worse for wear. She is
Well,
eligible for release in 2039.
yeah, well, there's no Botox in prison. And depending on which one, you some of them you can get your hair done.
I know. I don't think she has hair dye at, you know,
Hers.
her disposal. But
Well, I would think I would make some hair dye. Like I
yeah, you
would,
could make it. They make it out of like instant coffee and such.
yeah, I think I would do that.
Yeah, I think I would get inventive too. I think I would do well in prison.
I would just ask for some peroxide and start bleaching the shit out of my
Yeah,
hair.
why not? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of prison, I have to tell you, I was telling Fred, my beloved, about this case, and he was like, okay, seriously, seriously, don't kill me. I'm like,
You're like, now that we know it's so easy with a little bit of Visine and then coffee every morning.
yeah, I'm like, right? Don't be
Why?
acting a fool.
How come he was pissing the bed for days on end?
Okay, because the effect of the Visine is it puts you in a coma while it shuts down your organs. So it was knocking him, he was not able to move.
Mhm.
I mean, and just think about the time when he slept for 36 hours.
So
So
yeah, a day and a half of shutdown.
of shutdown. Yeah. So he was in the bed for, they think, 3 full days of not being like when he finally got the strength to get out of bed, he couldn't make it. But he
Mhm.
probably knew his wife was trying to kill him.
Do you think he did? I don't think he did.
Well, I think when she took his phone, he was real attached to his phone. And he probably, when he was aware, I imagine he's like, call 911.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And she didn't.
Well,
Yeah.
so at the end, but
And then he's probably thinking, like, remember that one time with the crossbow?
yeah.
Maybe she fucking did that on purpose.
Oh my God. He like loved her so much that he was like looking past her flaws of wanting his
Steve,
money,
oh
that
my God, Steve loved
biatch.
love. Yeah, totally. Okay, so the crazy thing about this case is that when this was all playing out in the local news in South Carolina, that, hello, wife was charged with killing her husband via eye drops, some asshole was like, hey, I've been meaning to off my wife. who knew I could just pick up some Visine at the CVS and make it happen? So, only 3 weeks after Lana's arrest, this guy that lived only 12 miles from Lana and Steve, named Josh Hunsucker.
Do we do that
Okay.
case?
No, we did
No,
not
we
do that
didn't.
case. Okay, but seriously, what
That
kind of
last name.
name is
That
Hunsucker? I
last name.
mean, it really sounds
Sucker.
like Cuntsucker. mean,
Well, well, maybe that's why he killed his wife because he like got made fun of for all of his life. He just couldn't like bear to be made fun of anymore.
I would
I don't
change my
know.
last name.
I
I
know.
cannot.
People do change their last name.
There's no reason to have sucker be part of your last name. It can't go well.
Huntsville or Hunt or Hunts. Hunts is
Yeah,
good.
just Hun. Just say Huns. Sure. Okay. Well, whatever. This dude used the Visine to poison to death his beautiful wife and mother of two young children
Oh,
named
what a
Stacy.
fucking idiot.
She was like 27. When Stacy died, her mama was devastated and noticed right away Josh wasn't. She found
Was,
out that he
was Josh
had
giving away all her shit too?
I don't know about that because this is like it's still pretty like ongoing, but she found out that he cashed in a $250,000 life insurance
Hmm.
policy he had on Stacy just 2 days after, which anybody that young having a life insurance policy is like, it's pretty sus,
Yeah.
right? Okay. And she
And
also
she's,
found,
like I don't want to be stereotypical, but whoever the breadwinner is usually who you have the life insurance policy on, and the one that maybe doesn't make as much money or is home raising the kids.
yeah, I
You
mean,
you
I
know,
think they both worked, but he definitely worked, more.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were also high school sweethearts. I
Wow.
think yeah, I know that high school love works out for some people, but I think usually
It doesn't.
it
Well, yes,
doesn't.
it definitely works out for a very few amount of people, but it does, generally speaking, you have to grow up a little bit and
Well, don't you
learn
think
how to have
because
relationships.
you're always kind of looking at that person like, I wonder if I could have done better than you. I'll never know. I mean, for me, I know I could not have done better than Fred.
Well, you didn't meet him in high school and you had lots of other love.
Yeah.
My high school love, no offense if he's listening, but um there is no way that we would have been married. Like,
For long, right?
no.
But maybe you would have tried to stick it out if you had kids real young or something.
Well, yes, maybe, but
Yeah.
maybe, I don't know. Like, I would hope you look back and you're like, I would hope I would have realized that there's other things out there, even if you're divorced and have to find other love. It works out. You don't have to
It
kill
does work out.
somebody. He could have
You
just left
don't.
her.
He could have just left her. He actually also had a side chick.
No, of course he did. And by the way, now he's going to prison for life. So the killing thing doesn't generally work out so well for people.
Oh my God. Okay. So listen to this. So his mom found out about the side chick and then she was like, oh my God, something's wrong. Okay.
Hmm.
But he almost got away with it because Stacy was cremated right away.
Mm.
But thankfully, Stacy was an organ donor and they
Oh,
kept
no way.
they kept a vial of her blood. So they tested it and,
Bam.
boom. So Josh was busted and he is currently awaiting trial. He also has some charges against him for like setting a fire on a helicopter. I don't quite understand, but
That's weird.
maybe I'll follow up on it. He seems
Um,
like a real fucking
douche.
cuntsucker.
Uh, he's living up to
I
that
don't,
name.
I don't think I've ever called someone that before.
Comptroller.
Yeah.
Holy
So,
moly. Wow. That's an awful story. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully her mom is raising those little children. Is that a WAP?
yeah, that's a WAP.
Awesome story. Really
Hmm.
unfortunate for our friend
Stephen and
and
Stacy.
Stacy. Isn't it
Mhm.
weird that I said Huntsville for his name and we have a friend named Stacy that lives in Huntsville?
True story. We do.
And we met her through this podcast.
Yeah.
Do do do
What
do do
do
do
do
do
do
do.
do do.
like
Yeah.
it's like one of those
Okay.
weird phenomenons.
Yeah, crazy. You got any shout outs or shit we need to talk
Hmm.
about still?
I do
Let's do that.
want to thank everybody that's joined patreon.com/housewives of true crime. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. If Gretchen also just did a bonus crime. So if you log on and sign up,
Hear
the
about
last one,
Casey Kasem, and we've got some tea. It's a good one, I
it is
think,
a good
as far
one.
as
Yeah,
bonus
we had a
crimes
little bit
go.
of tea on that one.
Hmm.
Um, so do that. Um, also, people have really good advice on Patreon for us because
Oh yeah,
we
I
we
read some today.
we tell all our secrets on there. um, and
Listen,
what?
listen, the
You're
diet
doing
is
great.
working for me.
You're doing great. Don't
Yeah,
worry. You're doing great.
yeah. I
Um,
just have really bad breath and I'm a little
oh,
irritable.
dude, by the way, that's what happens when you first get into keto.
Oh, it's awful. My
Yeah,
kids are like, get away from me. I'm like,
dude,
ugh.
it's actually like a thing when you
Yeah.
start becoming like in ketosis. It's like it is a thing. Okay, so Nicole Adele, thank you so much. She shouted us out on her Instagram and tagged us, and she's done it a couple times. So thank you. I want to tell you I really appreciate it. Um, Also, you guys, we have been getting some reviews, but let's start doing that again because I noticed it slowed down a little bit, but we really appreciate them and Apple really appreciates them. Like, so I hate to like, Gretchen really hates asking for this
Yeah,
shit, but
I don't want to read the reviews again. Gives me stomach ache.
we're, you don't have to read the reviews. I'll do it for you. So, Britton, thank you. Luther, thank you. Stephanie, thank you. Kathy, thank you. Carol, Seacraft, T13 Ann, Kathy, and 722, Ohio Betsy, Sarah Con, Curious Listener, Juliet. All you guys, thank you so much. There's more, but you know, help us out if you can. And follow us on Instagram or Housewives of True Crime group. You get some good details there. And I think that's it, Gretch, for today.
Okay, word.
Sound good? And
Yeah.
everybody, have a fabulous week. We're going into Labor Day weekend next weekend. You got plans? No.
No.
Okay. Well, I don't either. So
Okay. I'm coming to
we'll make
Texas.
some. We'll make some this week. Anyways,
Okay, we'll
clink
make
clink,
some.
guys.